Sandy Creek? No, I don't know,
Doesn't know what she's doing.
Oh, yeah, she does.
Did you go
She was on the campus board with me, what, 3 years ago?
Did you go somewhere fun? He's in St.
talking about up
Louis.
on the, obviously,
Oh,
on
you're
Sandy Creek is up here.
I am.
And we go way back.
This is what they're,
He'll be back to carry it across the finish line.
pass over, and then
This is the nitty gritty of the LDR, the complex.
yeah, I saw some, I saw some that I was just amazed at. But they, we don't keep it any longer. I would say they're 30 out maybe.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Was that the,
Week, 2 weeks?
I got one.
I actually gotta go.
I get charged for using the
That's a great,
8 hours of the families had been reported.
Yeah.
And we'll go this week until they get notification. Say what time you got.
You can start it. Is it on? Okay.
We can identify the orders.
Need a little free haircut.
No, we sit here several There's another.
Right here.
That's good. I'm gonna lean this way, but see the camera.
Chair is like if you lean back, it goes. Oh, yeah. You're notorious for that.
and I came back, came out, it looked like someone was gonna be
So that your volume of this place is more than what I
Yours is on some weird time.
It's time. Okay. Is there anybody in the hall? Anybody else out there? As far as in the hallway, you the only one? All right, let's call the meeting to order, please. It is January 22nd. We're here at City Hall for our regular weekly meeting. We stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Bobby, I got room now. Okay. I'm not. Thank you. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the record reflect we have a full council here today. And our agenda is sort of on this page. These, I'm assuming, all of these ordinances are first readings,
Right.
the way this is written. I'm following all this correct. Okay, again, for the public, as we go through and our citizens, if once we get to an item, you will be allowed to interject your comments instead of going through the traditional citizens' comments. So, moving into the agenda. We have the first reading of ordinance 710. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition to reading? Adrian, you got a good voice today?
I'm gonna have to.
Okay.
Ordinance 710, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, adopting a comprehensive update to the City of Mexico Beach Comprehensive Plan, amending the introduction through former sections 1 through 7, including revising community profile, revising public participation section, revising purpose and intent language, updating language to reflect changes in laws, and deleting unnecessarily language and definitions, amending the future land use element, including revisions to definitions, reorganizing and clarifying rules, deleting unused categories, revising rule for how to measure height, renaming tourist residential to high density residential and setting maximum density, revising allowable uses in general commercial, revising allowable intensity and uses for recreation district, providing additional rules for preservation district, deleting and relocating certain rules for environmentally sensitive land, deleting certain policies relating to land development regulations, revising into urban sprawl policies, revising policies regarding stormwater, drainage, and public property, adding protections for water-dependent uses, providing rules for use of platted lots, and revising rules for allowable non-conforming uses, and adding policies about compatibility of adjacent land uses, renaming the traffic circulation element to transportation element and substantially rewriting it, including clarifications, new requirements and prohibitions, revised applicability and exemptions, policies for non-motorized transportation, policies for Mexico Beach tourist corridor, and new access rules, rewriting the housing element, including addressing policies required by state law, amending the general utilities element to rewrite the sanitary sewer sub-element, to revise the solid waste sub-element, including clarifications and changes to level of service standards, to revise potable water sub-element, including clarifications and changes to level of service standards, and rewriting drainage sub-element, rewriting the conservation element and adding associated maps to it, amending the recreation and open space element, including revising level of service standards and requirements for developers to provide park space, requiring cities to retain beach accesses, and revising open space standards, rewriting the intergovernmental coordination element and placing greater emphasis on Tyndall Air Force Base, amending the capital improvements element, including revisions to purposes and level of service standards, deleting evaluation and monitoring section, deleting concurrency management system section, providing for repeal, severability, and providing an effective date. Got that?
If Nick had been here, I'd ask him to read. Okay, this obviously has to do with what we did last week and have been doing for some time on the comp plan. That's what all of that is relevant to. And it's the first reading, I guess that'll be for next week. Our second reading, is that correct?
2 weeks.
Two weeks.
February, 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
February 5th.
yeah, that's
It'll
right.
be February
2 weeks.
5th, and it'll be at 5 p.m.
Yes, so on the comp plan, for everyone here, February 5th at 5 p.m. is the second reading. Okay, next is ordinance 711. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition to reading? Before we read that, is there any questions? I didn't see anybody, but on, back to the comp plan, first reading, did you have a question? You look like you had a question.
Yeah, Jason Adams at 102 42nd Street. The question I have that was inserted last week, we added policy 4D 1.8. Any development activity that directly impacts 100-year floodplain, such as filling, should be required to mitigate. The way I read that, and y'all can let me know how this is, but that pretty well says that everybody's gonna have to put in, stormwater, even residential property.
That's not what that's saying.
That's not what it says.
That's not what that's saying. You're responsible for getting your stormwater to the street, that's never changed, that's
Okay.
been the rule all along. If you're a single lot, you gotta get your water to the street. That just says if you fill in the floodplain,
Okay,
you've got to mitigate that fill, so you've gotta dig out somewhere else.
which would be, okay, the way I would see it would be when you gotta put in a stormwater, some type of system on your property to,
Has nothing
Nothing
to do with
that.
stormwater.
that's all I need to know.
Moving on. Thank you. Yeah,
Question behind.
all right, come on.
Speaking of that, if neighbors will not put up gutters on a new house, and all the water's now just coming off of the house, coming into your property. As Linda, you know what I'm talking about, you got them to put gutters up on your side of the house. They refuse to put it up on my side of the house, and it floods my patio and everything. Is there anything I could get help from the city for?
I can help
I even
you.
offered to pay for them, they wouldn't do it.
I can help you with that after the meeting, because
Okay.
that's part of stormwater.
Well, it's no big rush right now, I just down the future for,
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
okay, thank you.
Okay? Anybody else on ordinance? Or the reading of the title of ordinance 711? All right, we're gonna move then to,
7-11, we gotta read them.
I'm sorry. I knew I'd get that fast. All right, ordinance 711, we had a motion and a second to read, and no opposition, please do so.
Ordinance 711, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, adopting a comprehensive update to the city's land development regulations, including ensuring consistency with comprehensive plan update, updating references to statutes and other law, amending definitions, deleting unused zoning categories, renaming tourist residential to high-density residential and setting maximum density, reorganizing, amending rules for allowable uses and development standards in each zoning category, clarifying rules for modular homes, amending rules for mixed-use development, amending rules for how to measure height, creating rules for evaluating change in use within same zoning category, creating tourist corridor overlay district and rules applicable to it, requiring uses in PUD to be consistent with comprehensive plan, amending and reorganizing rules for accessory uses and structures including setbacks, amending rules for accessory apartments, deleting certain rules regulating conduct rather than use of land, creating lot split definition and revising rules for lot splits and plats, making floodplain rules consistent with city's floodplain ordinance, amending rules for porous paving, amending procedures and rules for major residential development orders and major commercial development orders, amending rules for review of all development orders, amending special master code enforcement procedures and providing for hearings only if requested by violator, amending rules for allowable non-conforming uses including non-residential structures, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, repealing rules that conflict, providing for severability, and providing an immediately effective date.
Okay, this is to do with the LDR. I'm gonna suggest that the council, hold a workshop on Thursday to discuss openly the LDR and any changes that, or anything that we as a, this is our, we've just seen this, we have not had a chance to discuss it in any depth. And I think it would be appropriate that we do that. Is there any, does anyone,
I can't come Thursday.
okay,
I'm
can
at that
everybody,
I'm at that recovery meeting,
what time is that?
2:00 in the afternoon. Right in the
Okay.
middle of the day.
Okay, what about later? What about 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock. I can make it.
I think I can do
5 o'clock, is that, everybody else can? All right, I think we need to do that. Is that okay with those of you who need to be here to help us, to answer? Okay, 5 o'clock then, Thursday, we will hold a workshop for discussion and looking at the, LDR.
That's the 24th, correct? Okay.
Yeah, Thursday, 5 o'clock, right here. All right, so if you have questions, bring them 5 o'clock. Those of you that are here that may have come for that, for this, I don't know. Moving on then, ordinance 712. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, any opposition? Please do so.
Ordinance 712, all right. An ordinance of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending the Mexico Beach City Code to amend the floodplain requirements to require new structures in the unshaded Zone X zone to be 1 foot above the crown of the road or curb, to adopt technical amendments to the Florida Building Code, building and the Florida Building Code, residential to increase minimum elevation requirements, freeboard using FEMA's draft best available data map, directing staff to develop process proposals proposed rules to require mitigation to impacts to floodplain, providing for fiscal impact statement, codification, penalties, applicability, repeal or severability, and effective date.
Okay, any comments, questions on ordinance 712? Yes, sir.
I just have a real quick one on your structures and auxiliary structures are two complete separate things, correct? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But just so everyone understands, you cannot, we're in a moratorium, so that includes accessory structures as well.
Mhm.
You cannot bring those in, you cannot construct those until after the moratorium is lifted, because we do have some additional rules for accessory structures.
Yeah, okay, I was just wondering, because like, my pole barn got destroyed, and I wanted to get another one after you lift everything. But I wanted to make sure I didn't have to build that up to the flood code on the structures, because that makes no sense if you're gonna park something next to your house, to have to build it up to meet a flood code requirement.
So come get your permit, we'll be able to tell you what you can do at that time.
Okay.
All right, again, on 712, any comments? Yes,
Does this mean we're adopting the 1.5 foot at this point? Is that what we're doing with this
That's
ordinance?
the first reading.
That's the first reading. Okay, I do have some comments on
okay,
that. I did some research, let me get to my sheet here. Really wanted to address the X flood zones, the 0.2%. We did some research and we're finding that we're not seeing a lot of freeboard in the X flood zones. So I'm here for the citizens, you know, mainly the people back, Maryland, all these other streets back in there. What we're seeing is by doing the freeboard, and it's not just about the freeboard, it's about even going to the 0.02% X elevation. It's putting a lot of these homes, you know, 5, 6 feet off the ground, 4, 5, 6, whatever the number may be. And the cost of elevating to that level, I think it's gonna put a huge burden on our citizens to try to rebuild. So I guess my question, two-part question. One, do we really need to do the freeboard? That would save them 1.5 feet. And then I would wanna know, is the state are they the ones requiring us to get to that initial flood elevation?
You may
And,
answer.
go ahead.
You may answer. First of all, it is not rare that you do it in an X flood zone. It happens all along the Gulf Coast. I gave some examples in the meeting, so it is not uncommon when you're low lying like we are.
Mhm.
I don't know of anywhere in the X that you gotta go up 5 feet, so if you've got some properties, you can share that with me. If they're
Well-
going up 5 feet, and we're only freeboarding 1.5 feet, then it means that FEMA's raising it 3. I don't know where those properties are, you'd have to.
Well,
let
like, this
me
is,
know.
a guy that I know, Gene Klein's property at 807 Maryland Boulevard. His zone is a shaded X. His 0.2% elevation says it's 14.
That's
so-
not how you read that,
Well, when I
so Gene
talked
can
to-
come talk to me and I'll be happy to help him
Well,
understand
let's,
that,
cause I talked to Dina last week about this, and I think this is where, well, the map's not here. And I just wanna be
Yeah,
sure
we
because,
actually
well,
mapped
let's
one
make sure,
across the
first of all, if you
street.
could go and sit down
Yeah,
and make sure that the way
yeah,
the way you read it, then, for the second reading or any other questions that may come after you sit down and discuss that, to ensure that you're getting,
cause
I think it would be
I've,
appropriate to come here.
I've been,
I can tell you Gene Klein isn't going up 14 feet, his is not.
no, not
14
4,
feet.
he's at 10 now, or 10 or 11, his topo.
Yeah, we can,
So you
I can
take
talk to him
14
about it.
minus the 10, that's 4 feet, and then you add 1.5 feet, that's
Right,
5.5.
I don't know his off the top of my head, but I know it's not 14, so when you get, a chance, I can talk to Gene, or I can talk to you about that.
Well, let me take my property on 42nd Street. Okay, I've got a lot that's been topoed out.
Okay.
It's in an X,
Yeah, you're
shaded X.
commercial,
I'm commercial, but it's an X. But no, this is a residential lot.
okay,
It's 11 feet is where it sits now. The 0.2%, the 0.02 says 14. Says the 0.02 elevation is 14 on it. So the way I look at it, and we can sit down, it says, well, I gotta take it from 11 to the 14 to begin with, and then I gotta go 1.5 feet on top of that. I think that's
Yeah,
what we've been understood, that's where we
Yeah.
gotta be above.
I think
the
that you and I
0.2%.
should sit down and talk, cause I don't think you're following what we're doing on that, so I'm happy to sit
Well,
down and talk to you about it.
We're talking about freeboard.
We're talking about 1.5 foot of freeboard, yes.
So if you gotta be a foot above the crown of the road.
Tell you what we're
that's-
gonna do, we're gonna talk,
Yeah,
you got an offer to go and sit down and get it straightened out, or understood, so that when we're discussing it, that,
well, I want to sit everybody to know.
I understand, but is there anybody else?
I'd like to comment, Jason, I got the same explanation he got the other day, so now I'm confused, so.
I mean, I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't think it was, and this is not,
Yeah,
I mean, I benefit a little bit out of it, but
I'm
this is for our
happy
people.
I'm happy to sit down with you or
Well,
sit
I
down
think
with
what
Zach
you
and go
just
through it.
said is the proper understanding of the 0.2, less your elevation, plus 1.5 feet. I mean, that's the
No.
quote form.
You can't just look at that 0.2 elevation. You don't know, you have to know what your ground is. You have to know what your elevation is on that lot in order to do the math.
We've got that, he's got an updated topo, so.
I've got an updated on my particular,
I
I wrote
know,
it,
but if you know what it is, then you subtract the two.
and that's what it is for most people.
I don't know what he has, but I'll be willing to sit down and talk with anybody who wants to go through it, but I can't speak to it without looking at what we have.
I just,
So,
But that is the correct procedure to use to determine.
I don't know what procedure he's using, but I'll be happy to talk to anybody after the meeting about any lot you wanna talk about, and I can.
Well, the-
help
Well, I
give
mean,
you
I
an
don't wanna,
answer.
I don't wanna specifically talk about a lot, I just wanna talk about the procedure of how you, so you can tell anybody how you
You
arrive
have-
at that number.
Yeah, you have to know your ground elevation,
Okay.
and you're not gonna get that off of the FEMA map.
you're gonna have to go hire somebody, you can go to Google Earth and get
You get a guess,
and get a
yes.
guesstimate, but you're gonna have to hire somebody to do a topo.
Right.
Get where your base is, which I can tell you is pretty close to the Google Earth.
Right, subtract it.
Then you gotta get to the, I guess the formula is we need to hear this, we're gonna have to get to the 0.02, and then we're gonna have to go to 1.5 feet above that.
That's correct.
That's
Okay.
gonna put
That's
us,
correct.
So basically, then everybody that's in the shaded X is gonna have to have an elevation certificate.
yeah, and they're gonna have to get to the 0.02%, which is, it's gonna put 3 foot or so right on top of everybody.
It's only gonna put 1.5 feet is all that the city's freeboarding, so if you already have it.
It's 1.5 feet above the 3 foot that the 2%, 0.02% kicked us in. Had we been in a regular X zone, you're 1 foot above the crown. The same property could be built 1 foot above the crown. So now it's 0.02, it's gotta be, I gotta get to that 14 foot. I would've been, my finished floor would've been at 12. If I go to 14, it goes, that's up 2 feet. That's before we freeboard. I'm
Well,
already bringing that up if we're gonna adopt the 0.02. Then we go another 1.5 feet.
well, I can just tell you that our job was to look at the surge, both before and after.
totally
Look at the
understand.
high water marks, look at what FEMA has done, which the maps are not final.
Mhm.
So 2 years down the road, that X zone may not be an X. And so if those folks built only to that X flood zone, they're gonna be in trouble with their insurance. So we tried to take in everyone, let me finish. We tried to take into account everything that we saw with the storm. We got a lot of help from FEMA. We got a lot of help from experts who know what they're doing. And we feel like we made a really good decision for the citizens. And I mean, you can argue the 1.5, it may cost a little bit more. We talked to contractors who said it's negligible when you look at the cost savings from elevating. So I'm just telling you that we looked at everything, and unless you're bringing me different data, I'm not gonna make a different recommendation to the council unless you're bringing me data that,
Well, let's, you wanna talk about, so let's look at this. From the research, if you're in X zone, you're already considered a preferred risk policy. Most publications I read, PRPs don't qualify for the discount. We read one publication that said,
my neighbor's in an X zone, ask her how much she pays for her flooding.
well, this says, this is in the class, if you're in a,
Ask my neighbor.
if you're in a
an
1 to
X zone
6, you
what
get a
she
10%.
pays.
I'm sure that there are situations like what you're describing. If where you're going is that you think the freeboard is excessive, is that bottom
Well, I
line?
wanna know about the freeboard, obviously, I think that But that same lot has already got to be built up another 2 feet to get you to the .02. But I haven't, no insurance company I've called says they're giving you a discount if you build any higher. If it's an X zone, it's an X zone.
Okay.
Whether it's .02, whether it's a regular X.
We can sit you down with the NFIP.
I've got a bunch of
See, and we
NFIP
can-
stuff
Okay,
here.
well, I think you're, for me, it's so noted what you've just said. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
And I'm not trying to argue with it, I'm just saying I'm a builder, and I'll throw, this is totally off of separate. I'm doing a house right now in Port St. Joe. I built it last year. I built it 1 foot off the crown of the road. It cost me $18,000 to build it. I'm building it on the lot, same house, same neighborhood. The lot was sloped. It's about 3 foot in the front. It's about 6 foot in the back. It's cost me $36,000 to put the same foundation in. Not the same foundation. It's the same house.
How much
So-
is your cost of materials gone?
It went. It's minimal.
Is that,
I just doubled the price of the foundation.
Jason, that's Port St. Joe?
Yes. That would be, once you start raising them,
We understood that,
Yeah.
but you do realize what we just drive through our city
I know.
and look at the reality.
And
And
I
if
want,
you build it up to what we're saying that you have to build it up to, it would still flood. Okay?
yeah,
Okay. I'm just saying, it would still
it
flood.
would.
Okay.
So let's just all go on stilts and we'll be all okay.
Well, that's not what we're saying. We're not
I know,
saying that.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
All right, anybody else, any other questions on that particular, okay. Moving on to, number 4. We're into number 4 on the agenda. Who's got that?
Fire assessment. You guys wanted it back on the agenda for this week.
All right, back on the agenda.
Well, we were talking last week about how we did the assessment for this year. And we said that we were gonna come back and take a look at it and see if we need to change it, tweak it, whatever. So I think maybe this is a good time to, let's do some investigating. Maybe not the assessment, maybe it would be fairer if we just put it on the tax, on, our millage rate, and maybe we need to start looking at that. Then that would be fair for everybody. Whatever your value of your house is, that's what you pay.
Also, we had asked some information if you would check with the state on various things and so forth. I don't know if you've had a chance or not, any of that.
I can give you an answer. So the state statute requires 4, and I was just looking to see if our project is there,
Come over here.
requires
Hiding
4.
in the corner.
4 certified firefighters per call. We have 2 on duty at any given time, so when we have a fire, then we call in 2 more firemen, so we've got 4 firefighters who close out that call. So we're not even at the minimum.
Have they made any indication from any other maybe cities our size that that's a little harsh and they may be changing it?
It's based on geographic area and what your ISO, what you want your ISO rating to be. You can drop and change it and drop your ISO rating, and then that's just more insurance that will go up. So that's your option. But we have to maintain the statute.
We have to maintain the statutes.
And we can't, I don't know, I don't have an answer for you other than we've gotta fund our fire department.
In concur with Lynn, I think it's probably best this year, maybe for a couple of years at least, before we look outside and put it in the budget as a budgetary item. I know in doing that, they're gonna strictly on value land and houses and everything, so I personally think for the next couple of years at least, into there, if it makes sense, 2 years down the line to do an assessment, then that can be looked at by somebody else 2 years down the line. But, I don't think an assessment's gonna make it this next year.
I think, we have May, we need to make a decision, Adrian, on what we need to do with the fire assessment. If you roll it into your general fund and you fund it the way you've it used to be funded, then it's just based on the ad valorem. It's simple, then as the mayor suggested last week, you can move money around when you need to, as long as you know, make sure you're funding up your firefighters and their equipment. That's an option you guys may wanna look at going forward, more fair and equitable. But we do need to schedule a couple of workshops just to talk through it, so that you guys can make a decision for the upcoming year, how you wanna handle that fire assessment. Or funding the fire department, I should say.
No, I'm all for that. I think we need to get on the bandwagon and start moving down the road with it, rather than waiting a couple of months and then we're gonna be in a catch-22 and make decisions quickly. This way we'll have time to look at all our options.
Well, the sooner we also determine which way we're going, right now still put it on in the budget, but the chief, if that's the way we go, has to have time to start looking and putting a budget together for the budget process in July. And we'll do that.
Yep, so you guys wanna schedule a workshop for the upcoming year, maybe after the moratorium is lifted, that second week in February, second or third week?
Third week. Give us a break between.
That doesn't,
What
That
information,
doesn't
that's just
happen
part
now.
of the problem that we can consider.
We can't take a break for a while.
what new information are you expecting to
About 2
have in
years.
February that you haven't seen last year?
Don't expect to see a lot, but I think we need to set, and we can do a lot of discussion on one subject, it's a big topic. We can also have some of that information that was provided for us last year, re-provided. And get good inputs from the chief and the administrator.
We'll have something for you by the first workshop.
Anything else? Okay. Number 5. Task order for MX1.
Dina is
Oh.
out sick, so we didn't get that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, we're
That's
gonna,
a scratch.
yeah, that's gonna be the task order to do the repairs to MX1, but we'll come back to that next week since she's out.
Okay. All right, wind load discussion.
Wind load discussion, I spoke with Nick, he said that we can by ordinance increase our wind load protection to 140, that's what, Port St. Joe Beach is. We're in between 130 and 150, so it's easy to make, when you look at the wind maps, it's easy to make that case, so we just need to do it by ordinance. Just need to know if you guys are comfortable with it, and we'll have that ordinance ready for you at the next meeting. We're at 130, most builders, if they build in Gulf County and in Mexico Beach, they're already building to 140.
I'm very comfortable, I have a home that was built to that, maybe 150, but at least 140. And I can say that I came through very, very well compared to many other homes.
Yeah, there's very little difference, even in what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Even in cost. I mean, it's-
All right, so that requires an ordinance, did I hear you right? Okay.
You have for first reading?
So we can, any comments on the 130 moving to 140? As far as wind load? Okay. Yeah, we'll look at that ordinance, what, next week? All right. Philip, what you got? Department reports, you got anything?
We've got, just a little bit on the wastewater side. We finished inspecting and cleaning from Airmark to 24th Street. We got our report in this morning. We're going over that to put together a construction bid. Finishing up the smoke testing on that side as well. Should be finished with that tomorrow. That's really about it. Nothing major on the water side. We had that 18-inch water break last week, but it's fixed and everything's back online.
Questions for Public Works?
When are you hoping to have sewer on that south side of the highway?
I would say 4 to 6 months.
Chief?
Quick report, last 22 days, 120 calls for service, 34 traffic stops. The traffic stops resulted to 7 drug arrests, 3 driving licenses suspended, and 3 arrests for loitering and prowling. So anytime somebody sees something out of the ordinary in the neighborhood, please by all means continue to call. Sometimes they do amount to something. In this case here, it was related to an arrest. So far to date, we've recovered 30 vehicles. Since the storm that have been damaged, have been transferred or moved. We've located 210 pieces of property, and out of the 210, we've identified 126 families in which the property's been returned. And that's pretty much what I have on the good side.
Question for the police department? Anyone? Adrian, what you got?
All I've got going on is tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, Michael will be here, and we'll be beginning the process of preparing for the audit from the last fiscal year. So everything that's been ignored for the last 3 months is now coming up. So for the next 3 days, if I don't answer your call or email you back fast enough, I'm in with our auditor, so it'll be a little hard to catch me, but I'll be here.
Okay.
And I'm guarding his door. No one can do that.
Tan, you have miscellaneous?
I do.
Or have a-
And I didn't know if the fire chief had an update.
The only thing I wanted to say was, our biggest call increase is gas leaks. A lot of people are moving things around on their properties and not a lot of people, but a number of people breaking gas lines. Just please be aware of the fact there are still now live gas lines the whole way throughout the city. If you're gonna dig on your property or even have people remove stuff from your property, please call 811, have them check to see where the gas lines are and mark them, and we're not gonna have that issue. Other than that, the only other thing is, we still, and this is not a knock on anybody, we still have all our stop signs by any means up in the city. Please slow down, remember where you should be stopping, because again, our motor vehicle accident numbers are up in comparison to previous years in regards to this type of scenario. So we are here for anything that you need us for. If you've got an elderly family member who you want us to check on, or a friend you need us to check on, by all means do so. We're happy to run welfare checks on anybody that might need it on a daily, weekly basis. So you know where we are in Parker Park, and we're here to serve, so please just ask. Stay safe, thank you.
Miscellaneous. I have a quote that we just received. Summer House is ready to reopen, and we have some water work we need to do there. And so it's something that we can't do. The cost is $69,5436. I just got this, so right at $7,000. It's under the current competitive bid ordinance. And we need to get that done. They wanna open it in, is it a week?
They told me a week.
Right, they're ready to open that condo, development up, so it's right at $7,000 for that work.
It's a summer house now.
Yes.
And we're hooking, what did we do? We lost the water line, we lost their main line
We
coming
did.
to the summer house?
Yes. It's old cast iron 6 that was washed out with the 18, and this is putting them on the new line, which should have been done years ago, but
Does this affect the master, are they on master meter or are they on meter?
master meter,
They're on master meter.
on the 4-inch meter.
Is that good? Okay. Cause it doesn't say here, it says no meter replacement, so that,
It's still there, the meter's still there.
meter's still there.
Yes.
I got you. Okay, so we wanna do that, I mean, we're ready to go, this
Ready
is,
to go.
We're ready, if you
okay,
guys can
we
approve
need
the bid.
then, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the motion should, just for the record, include the amount of money.
Okay. $6,954.36.
Okay, still a second?
Yes.
Okay. Any opposition? Any discussion? Everybody know what we're doing? When can they perform this work?
We're gonna contact them as soon as they get out here. They told us within a few days
They
they could
can
be here.
do that.
Yes, sir. They'll have it done in less than a day. We've got everything there. We just gotta get it on time.
And we can't do that.
We gotta cut through the vault. Yeah.
We can't do that. Oh. You forgot to tell them that.
Well, I think that's great.
Okay,
That's good
motion
news
carried
for
5.
Mexico Beach.
Yes.
Yeah, we need that place going, any place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So we need the council approval, we wanna put out bids to do the same type of repairs that we just talked about here for Tranquil Harbor, the View, the Villas, and Waterside. We're gonna put those out for bid. I know last year, Philip was explaining to me, you guys looked at doing this last year, it was about $90,000. This was work that we needed to do before the storm. We still have to do the work, only now it's a different scenario, but we still have to do the work, so, we wanted to put that project out for bid.
The biggest issue that we face now with these condos is they were all tied onto the old cast iron 6. Well, now that line's just, it's gone. Alright, there's no way to get these condos water until we tie them back into the new, either the new 12 or the 18. Or number 6. Tranquil Harbor will be tied onto the 6.
Well, that 12 and 18 was there.
For whatever reason, we didn't do it during the water project.
I know, I had the same reaction.
I hooked them on that cast iron 6.
We never took them off. Originally, hey, Mr. Chuck.
How you doing, partner?
Good, sir. How are you?
So if you,
Wow.
if the council is comfortable with that, I guess we'll need a vote to, put those
Yeah.
out
Will
for
they
bid.
be 3 separate bids out, or
We were just
one
gonna do
bid
one project
covering
for
all
all of
3 of
them,
them?
is what we're gonna.
Have we any ideas when these will
Well, they're different places.
be needed yet?
This is that should be it.
Right.
That's supposed to be the last
Well,
one.
well, if it's not, how will we know who else is on?
A lot of the east end of town is still on the old
Well,
line.
as we move everything over to the other areas, and we finally kill that 6-inch line, completely kill it, we'll know real quick.
We won't know real quick, cause there's a lot of places out there
That's
won't
true.
need water.
But speaking with, Mary Leonard, these condos, that's the last of it. That takes everything off the old system and puts everything onto the new
So
system.
when we crossed the road, we didn't, which side of the road are we on the service? South side, is that where's the 18? Or
The summer house will be tied in on the south side. Tranquil Harbor will be tied in on the east side of 36th Street. The View will be tied in on the south side. The Villas and Waterside will be tied in on the north side.
So the laterals going down those streets surely aren't on that cast.
Those are all tied into, verified by the map into the 18s.
That's weird that that didn't get done. But that's here today. Yes, motion to accept or allow for the bid to be put out.
Second.
Any opposition? And I did hear you say you're gonna cover all of those as well. Okay?
Next one, same thing, we need permission to put out a bid for the repairs to the Public Works building, including the water tank. We need to get that out. There'll be 2 separate bids, there'll be one for, the building itself and then one for the water tank. We have an estimate on the water tank, it's about 50,000, which means we need to put it out for bid.
What
So
happened? I
two
thought
separate-
the grass store?
The ground store thing. Yes, sir.
What happened?
The water
Water
tower
tower fell.
Oh, I thought it missed.
The what's great, so.
Yeah, took out the ladder and.
Took out the ladder, messed up the guardrail on the top, messed with the hatch on the top, gouged up the sides.
Okay, but it's functional.
Yes, sir, it passed inspection.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, so, for the Public Works building, we've gotta get those repairs done. The insurance company is just waiting on us to get an estimate, so we need to put that out for bid as well as the water tower, so 2 more bids. We just need your permission to put those out.
Okay, we need a
Make a
motion.
motion.
And a second. Any discussion? Any opposition? Okay, are those documented as FEMA recovery
Oh,
projects,
they should be, all of them should be.
even this?
Mhm.
So if anybody knows a contractor, can come over to the public works building and get with me, that would be great.
All right, keep going.
Okay, so do you guys okay, we don't need to vote on the bids for those items?
We did.
Did we, oh, on those?
Silently.
Okay, all right.
We shook our heads.
Water and sewer breaks, we've had, lots of problems with folks, having contractors come out and demo their structures, and they're ripping out our water and sewer. They're either not coming in and getting a proper permit, or they have a permit, but they're not bothering to call locates to get all that marked. So going forward, if we have to come out to your lot because of damage to our infrastructure, you're gonna get a bill for that damage. It's not fair for all the taxpayers to pick up the tab because people are being negligent. So if you're having any type of work done on your property, you need to make sure that you call the city and let us come out there and cap water and sewer. Because if we have to come out there at 2 in the morning and repair a water break, you're gonna get the bill for it.
Well, the issue is that we're fixing the same thing multiple times.
Yeah.
We've been to several addresses, more than once, more than twice, to fix the same issue. And we've spray painted meters, manholes, laterals, we've stuck PVC in the ground, spray painted that. I've currently got the guys out there flagging all the PVC or wood that we've got stopped in the ground to make it more visible. And the issues that we're having is that people who are still bringing debris out to the right of way are putting the debris directly on top of the water meters, they're putting it on top of the manhole, they're putting it on top of the laterals. If you don't know, if anybody doesn't know where their meter or their clean out or whatever the case may be is at, and you wanna put stuff out, just give City Hall a call, we'll make a work order, and we'll come out and help you guys, show you exactly where everything is. I'd much rather do that than have to come back out and fix, another broken line or something like that. And more importantly, on the south side of town, we just spent, haven't got the invoice yet, we're probably, at least tens and tens of thousands of dollars to clean and inspect this. And if we're burying debris or burying our infrastructure in debris and it's getting broke again, sand is now getting back into what we just cleaned out. So we're kind of defeating the whole purpose and kicking our own selves in the behind by doing this. So if you have any questions about where anything is, just give us a call. We'll meet you guys out there and we'll locate everything for you.
I think we should be rather aggressive with these individuals that continue to do this. Or make sure everybody understands just what you're talking about. And then find out if somebody's covering that, and they should pay it. I mean, it's not right for everybody in here to pay for somebody else's screw up. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, what about you other people? What do you think about that?
Since what she just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So, I mean, she said if they could do that, and they don't get it located, and they tear it up, we're gonna send the property owner a bill. How much more aggressive do you want to be?
well, I wanna make it a good sized bill for people's attention. We've
I
had a
mean,
tendency historically here not to do that. And then when they do get a bill, it's a small
Well,
bill.
they hadn't dealt with her.
Well, that's true.
Okay?
I don't know that.
Okay.
And that'll cover the cost of labor and everything else.
Yeah.
Everything.
At an overtime rate typically.
But
Okay.
we're here to help too, so,
Right.
Well, I know.
by all means, give us a holler and we'll come out and
Well,
help.
they should know that. Now, the homeowner, but a guy doing that work,
Yes.
by now, should certainly know.
Can we put it on our website or something so that people that aren't here or don't listen to it on the phone, so they're not shocked completely? There'll be a lot of people shocked, but so that we still catch a few of them.
Right, we can certainly do that. While I'm giving information to the property owners, if you have a contractor out doing repairs on your property, they need a construction dumpster on that site. They cannot pile it at the side of the road. That is not for construction debris. FEMA does not pay for your construction debris to be collected. So if you have a contractor doing work on your house, you need to make sure they have a construction dumpster out there. They cannot push that construction debris to the road.
Are we doing anything similar to what we were talking with water breaks to remind them if we have to pick up that stuff? Are we charging them for that?
We're looking for folks taking advantage of the city on that, and yeah, we'll be taking whatever action is necessary to make sure that the taxpayers aren't gonna be on the hook to haul that stuff off.
And if you notice somebody that's doing just that, notify the city so that they can be proactive and go to the house and say, you need to stop this, get your dumpster here.
And the building department's gonna make sure that they notify people, so just so everyone knows, if you've got a contractor out there doing repairs, they need their own dumpster, or they should be hauling that off trailer, whatever they're doing, they can't put it to the
What
road.
about the individual homeowner if they're doing their own repairs?
Same thing, if it's construction, that's not FEMA eligible. Water and sewer.
And if you gotta get a dumpster, notify us so you're not putting it
Put it
on
on
the.
top of the. Good point. Water and sewer breaks, you guys know we had the 18-inch break last week. We ended up having to call a contractor to make that repair. That was an emergency repair, it was our water main. It's about $5,000, we're thinking, Philip, we don't have a final invoice. We're gonna have situations like that it's an emergency, can't wait till a council meeting. And I just have to make those decisions. I know in our charter, I think we can call an emergency meeting of the council. I don't know how best to do this, but I can see it happens all the time. Typically, it's something we can repair, but it's getting to the point where we're gonna be calling contractors for a lot of this stuff. So I'm just looking for some guidance on how you guys wanna handle that. The 5,000, once we get the invoice, I'll give it to you guys for approval, but just
About
trying to
61.
find a way to make sure that you guys are okay with what
Under
we're
the
doing.
definition of emergency, you have the right to do that. And that's my interpretation of the way we should operate.
And you keep us
And the
posted.
emergency is based on your decision that it's an emergency. If it's not, if it's something that can wait, then it's not an emergency.
Okay, all right.
And
So
you
that
keep us
one will-
posted when things happen, so that's
So
all we need to know right
When
now.
we get that invoice, I'll let you guys take a look at it, okay. And then the last thing I had is the P and Z board, it's time for appointments. Mr. Bush and Mr. Driver are up for reappointment, and they both have expressed an interest in remaining. We also have one individual, we had an alternate that resigned, he's moved out of the area, so we do have, Lorraine Lindsay, you guys may know her, she's Dana's mom. She's been, for a long time, even back, before the storm, she wanted to be on P and Z, so I do have her resume. Didn't know if you wanted to do those reappointments maybe at the workshop Thursday, and I can get her resume to you guys, and we can do that with the LDR.
Make it a special meeting instead of a workshop.
We'll see, we can do it next Tuesday too, yeah,
We can do it next Tuesday, I didn't know how quickly the P and Z.
because they're not meeting again for a while.
Okay, we'll just do it next
Do
Tuesday.
it next
We'll just do it
Tuesday.
next Tuesday. So just be thinking about that, and, I'll get that resume to you on the 1 o'clock. And that's all I have.
Okay, ladies at the end, comments, some of you are part of our group, so if you have and we thank you for being part of it. Council members, I've got just very few things, pickup deadline, is that, I get asked that all the time, it comes from the Star in Gulf County, but my response has been that you will know in plenty of time when the deadline is, so, and that has not even been discussed.
I'm
Okay.
thinking March, April timeframe.
Donors, that I asked Adrian today, donors that could either use the city or use MBARA, do we acknowledge them in some written response?
We sent out,
I can answer because I finally clarified it, so I'll
Okay.
talk to you. The city sends the letter out for anything that comes here. MBARA is sending the tax letters and thank you notes on all theirs. as
They
well.
are,
Over 250, under 250, she was gonna clarify, and I haven't heard back from her.
I'm right here, sir.
Oh, there she is.
I just popped in.
oh, hey,
Hi, I was working with Mitchell PR, April Salter, I thought, because, we were talking about this and that you wanted to recognize
Yeah.
everybody. And that's why I was sending the list out with the email addresses or the physical addresses of the people that donated. If they donate 250 above, I have to, give them a tax letter for the IRS, and so I go ahead and give them a, very nice thank you for your contribution, and I personalize it with whatever they're donating towards, if they designate dune walkovers or anything like that. And, I haven't been doing the smaller ones, I hopefully that Mitchell.
Well, those have been
is
going, I knew that, but I wasn't sure what happened there.
We sent out a whole stack, I'm not sure, Adrian, what.
Nothing from what they've raised.
But nothing from MBRA. I mean, personally, if it's $10 or $2.50, I think everyone should get a letter, because
Well,
for
that's
some
what they
people,
were doing.
$10 is $2.50.
They weren't, but April was doing anything under 250.
I think so, yes.
Even though, I think she was even doing 250.
Those were the letters you did,
Right.
Adrian. That's the
The
list.
cities,
Yeah.
So,
the ones that.
all right,
So
well,
we
now-
we may have gotten those, but I'll follow up with you.
Okay, because
I
I'm
need to
still
talk to
sending the
him.
letter list out about once every 1 or 2 weeks, and the donations are slowing down now since we've hit end of year. And then we're trying to, try to keep the momentum going as much as we can. But every about 1 or 2 weeks, I send the list out with all the addresses and everything.
Could we just verify where the list is going and make sure that the city recognizes it?
I'm sending it to Adrian, and I'm sending it to April Salter, and I think I'm echoing you, Mayor, so if anybody else wants it, I'll be more than happy to provide it. I mean, it does have people's private addresses and email, so I don't like to send it out to too many people.
Okay,
I'll follow up with
you
you.
go, okay, thank you.
Are you giving the tax letter to those that are donating less than $2.50 or no?
Only if they request it. By law, you do not have to have a tax letter unless the donation is $250 or over.
Okay. But from our standpoint, it's just a recognition of thank you for your $5.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I am, like I said, I am doing a nice thank you letter on those that I do send out.
And the last two questions I get a lot of, banks and gas. Does anybody have any input? I can't find out yet.
I know that, the express lane.
He was here.
We met with him, he was ready, that was
He was
3
here
weeks
4 weeks ago and said
ago.
he'd be open in 3 weeks.
And he's gonna have an ATM there, that's my understanding, but.
And Centennial is, as soon as the moratorium is lifted and they know what they can do, they're ready to roll.
Also, Centennial, when I was over there last week and asked them, just personally, they had a van or something out back that they were testing there, and once they're testing, they're happy with it, that it's operating all right, they're planning on bringing that in and parking it over at the old location. So we'll have a mobile.
ATM.
Yeah, well, and somebody will be there.
I think someone will be in it.
Somebody will
Okay,
be in it,
all right, well,
yeah.
they've changed course. And this was
It's
weeks
supposed
ago.
to be super small, but I think
It is,
somebody.
yeah, I saw it, it looks like a small pickup to the camper.
Right,
But there's
okay.
supposed to be, yeah, there's supposed to be someone in it.
All right, anybody else? Any comments, public? Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday, AmeriCorps came and looked at the boat ramp. If nobody's been out there, you should go out there and look. They did an amazing job. There were probably 75 young people that came. They were from Texas, California, Washington State. Let's see, they were from Washington State, New Mexico, Texas, Mississippi, and California. And these people moved tons of stuff. Me and my husband went and worked with them and helped them get stuff out. We found some personal items which we turned over to the chief, and there's a lot of stuff that's still gotta be moved, and it's going to take everybody picking up by hand like was happening yesterday to get it cleaned up. But they did an amazing job, and you should run up there and look at what they got done.
Thanks. Others? Yes, sir.
Just a quick one, as a recipient of multiple flat tires, is there any requirement for these guys that are going around picking up stuff to blow off or sweep off the streets? I've been going down my street with a blower. Every time they come down, they pick up all the trash, there's more glass, there's more nails in the street, and it's like, it's getting ridiculous, and it's gonna be like that for a long time.
Yeah,
Keep your blower.
Yeah, I believe me, I walk down with 2 batteries down the street. I didn't know if
I
that
have
was in their
something
contract to clean
Yes.
up.
on that.
Yes, ma'am.
If someone can find out who this group was, there was 10 or 12 men rolling these little, magnets
Yeah, yep.
up and down the street, but they were only here for a very short period of time. They came to my house and I asked them into my driveway, and I had been over my driveway dozens of times, and they immediately got 6 more nails out of my driveway. They were just doing this for the community, walking up and down the street. So if the city could find out who they were, I think they said they had hooked up with the Latter-day Saints Church, but I'm not sure on that. But they were from Atlanta, and if we could get them back, they might be willing to help us. They had these machines donated to them to do this, so it was great.
You know, if I could add something to that, maybe you might wanna consider taking maybe one of your vehicles, being in the military on the flight line all the time, you have these big magnet things that hooked on the back of your truck, and you drove around and you picked up nails and stuff like that, just driving anywhere in base, just to keep fog damage away. Might be a consideration, I don't think they're that expensive, but it's just a big magnet that hangs on the bottom of the vehicle. And as your public works people are driving up and down the roads and looking at things, that might pick up loose nails, you're gonna have a whole bunch more with all the roofing contractors coming in.
Okay?
Kind of that line.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting a question a few times this week based off a proposal, or last week that you guys made on the tourist residential high density zoning, where if you had a duplex, you can rebuild a duplex. Did we interpret that right, was in the gist of what was last week? Okay, if I sell it to to a new owner, does that run with the land, or does it only mean the person that lost his duplex gets to rebuild a duplex? These things are starting to
I can't
trade.
imagine it wouldn't go with the land.
Okay, we'll be clear on that, they're starting to trade and go under contract based off what the city's
It
gonna
goes
say with that.
when you said duplex, now it goes that if it's a platted lot.
Yeah. On a platted lot, if they had a duplex, it doesn't matter if they sell, the new guy can do the same thing they could.
Stays with the land.
Okay.
Well, you can have, what you want, today's minute?
Yeah, just these.
That's the whole comp plan.
Okay.
We don't have, who's got one?
That's all right.
So I have a
Okay,
question
yes.
about that. So when you say on a platted lot, does that mean if the lot's legal description is in meets and bounds and it's not a platted lot, that it doesn't qualify for that?
Meets and bounds. Must be some Joe Rayburn problem.
I think y'all were saying last week, everything that had a parcel ID that's platted on the map,
So it
doesn't
doesn't
matter
really
meets and
matter whether
bounds
it's
or.
platted, as long as
Correct.
it has a parcel ID.
As long as
Yeah,
it was
has
its own
parcel ID.
individual lot.
Yeah, I use
So
that.
like on 37th Street, everybody there has the right to rebuild.
Okay.
Correct.
I got,
Yeah.
I wanna make a comment on this young man. I don't know you, but I think your name is Philip.
Yes, sir.
I heard, they threw up lots of questions to you, and you're on top of it just like that. I just wanna say, good job, man, thank you.
Thank you.
Philip
Always
has
on
done
top.
a great job, believe me, from day one.
Yeah, he's always on top
He really is.
Yep.
He's
Anybody
worth his
else?
weight in gold.
I don't know about
I don't know
that.
about that.
Feel better. Good, you should. Thank you. To everyone. All right, anybody else? Last call. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank everyone for coming.
Glad you could make it, Jerry.
You can, and I think that's something.